again, everyone. This is Rudolph Wilkins with Forgotten Fitness, and today I will be showing all of you how to make an old school Roman chair, the same kind of Roman chair used in Vince Gironda's gym, but this time just made out of wood, a couple of metal brackets, some screws, and very simple hand tools. Now, this is not the Roman chair you see nowadays. Now, the Roman chair you see nowadays is a machine where you lay down in it, essentially. It's elevated in the air, and you work your glutes and your hamstrings. This machine is the old school Roman chair, which you pretty much sit in, and you lay your calf on the back beam, and you tuck your feet into a little gap, and you squat down so that your upper body is perpendicular with the floor. And it is a great quad isolation machine, one of the best, really. And Vince Gironda even had a variation of a Smith machine squat that was meant to mimic this. But once he had this machine put in the gym, then it became kind of the staple for that exercise. And it's really a very simple machine because, of course, there's no moving parts. You're the moving part in it. And it is wonderful, simply wonderful. You squat down and you hip thrust up into it, and it really works your quads. Just a couple of reps with no weight, and you're really feeling that burning sensation. And Vince Gironda believed that it would give you nice separation in the leg, and I would have to agree with that. It has really helped me even out the overall diameter of my leg from top to bottom, my upper leg. This in combination with some calf raises, supersetting that back and forth, is a wonderful leg workout. And I'm under the philosophy that you don't really want to overdevelop your glutes or hamstrings, and that a lot of people do now, and that's what loses them that aesthetic shape. So I try to stay away from that altogether. And this is a way that I can easily do that and have a lot of fun. And the machine itself is very simple to build. It's made out of a couple of 2x4s, some wood screws, some brackets, and that's about it. And I mentioned that this entire build is using the imperial system, so that's inches and feet. So whatever your country uses, be it metric or anything else, you'll have to convert that into your own system. But I being from the United States, am most comfortable using inches and feet, so I know that's sacrilege to a lot of people, but that's just what I'm used to. But the build itself is very easy. It's all straight line cuts, no curving cuts or anything. You'll also need a little bit of sandpaper. I'll get into all the materials you'll need in the next video. But it's a very simple machine to build. It's wonderful to use. It's very effective. And I've intentionally overbuilt this particular one. And what I mean by that is I've made it so strong that, let's say a piece of wood is damaged or you get a small crack by screwing it in, you really shouldn't have to worry about it because I put so much thought into this that I know this is a very strong system. If there is a small error, it still should function as normal. And I did that on purpose because I knew if I was going to put this out into the public, I don't want anybody getting injured making it. So that's pretty much all I have to say on that. It's a simple machine, but man, is it effective, really wonderful. And I hope you all enjoy this video. And if you have any questions at all, just let me know in the comment section and I'll make sure to help you out. Today I'm going to make a video on the Vince Gironda Roman chair. Many of you may know it now as the sissy squat machine, but that name is really not correct, and especially if you're a fan of Vince Gironda, you'll know this by a different name. So the way you make this Roman chair is it can be entirely made out of 2x4s, and all of this here was scrap. I didn't have to purchase any of this. I looked around my local neighborhood and I found all this wood for free. And this one was the same. I made the entire thing out of scrap. Now there will be some metal components you need, but overall you need two 21-inch pieces of 2x4, two 18-inch pieces of 2x4, two 36-inch pieces of 2x4, two 14 inches, which are the pieces to actually make the height for you. That will kind of depend on your own height. I'm 6'4", so I made them a little taller, but 12 inches would probably be fine for most individuals. And then these braces here were simply made out of scrap 2x4 that were marked and then cut at the appropriate angle, and fitted in with screws and brackets. So the brackets you'll need, these L brackets, you'll need 6 of them. These ones are 3 inches. I also have 4-inch brackets. It really doesn't matter, but they'll add structural stability to the entire frame. You'll also need 4 of these one-way brackets, these little metal plates here, and that's what you add to the frame to give it structural support. I used a drill for my construction, but you can also use a hand crank drill, whichever you prefer. And if you don't have electricity and you're in a foreign country or anything, that might be the only way you can go, and it can totally be done with this. Sometimes if I'm trying to get more intimate into a project, I'll use that by choice. For the saw, I used a simple jigsaw that was $30 jigsaw or something like that. It's not a very powerful jigsaw, but it definitely does the job. For the cover here, to make it a cushion, I just used an old pair of pajamas that don't fit me. I tied them on there with a little bit of rope and then added this towel over, and that gives you a pretty good cushion that's free. So the screws I used, I'll mention this briefly, are these 2-inch wood screws and these 4-inch wood screws, and these are to put together a wooden deck or a fence. And they're self-drilling screws, so you don't have to worry about drilling your own holes. They'll do it for you as they enter the wood. And what that does is it keeps you from ever having to worry about splitting the wood. The holes are nice and they never split the wood. So that's pretty much all of this. Oh, and for the rough edges, to actually construct the thing, you'll need just a little bit of sandpaper. These are just a couple pieces, and I do this by hand, but if you have a sander, you can also use a sander. But it's a very easy thing to put together. It doesn't take much time, and it can be done in a day very easily. And like I mentioned already, all the measurements will be in the description. And if you have any questions regarding this build, just let me know. But as you can see, I already have everything measured up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut these at the appropriate lines and begin construction, and I'll get back to you in a second. All right, and just like that, I have all the wood cut. From the time I made that last video to now was probably maybe 15 minutes at most. So it really takes you no time to get all this wood cut out. It takes a little bit of time at the measurement, but after that, not too much. So the next part of this build will actually be sanding off these rough edges here so that we get a smooth fit all together with the frame. So I'll report back in when that is done and you can see how it's looking. All right, so as you can see, I've done quite a lot since that last video. I did go ahead and sand off the sides there so I could put everything together. I've attached the brackets to their appropriate places. I have screwed in all the pieces. And the final piece to making this functional is creating the supports that will go on the side that will support the uppermost portion that goes against your calf and the frame of the actual machine. And that's just for structural rigidity. And it's really coming together quite nicely. It wasn't too hard to build, obviously. You can see here's some of the details. But if you're even decent with woodworking, this is a simple build. It doesn't take much time, and it's very, very strong. 2x4s are strong pieces of wood. So next time you see this, I will have the supports on there. And if you have any questions, let me know. And there it is in all its glory. Pretty much 100% put together and ready to go. The only thing now would be, for comfort, adding some kind of cushion or something so your calf won't get rubbed up too much here. But as you can see, I've made the braces. They're not perfectly aligned. Both of them have a little bit of a gap. I always have trouble with that when putting wooden things together, but it shouldn't matter too much because they're overly braced. They're very strong and everything feels tight. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. In fact, when I didn't have these on there and it was just the beam and the two metal brackets, it was holding my weight, and I weigh 250 pounds. So I think it's fairly strong to begin with, but these are just to overly strengthen it to make sure you'll have no problems using it for many years to come. I did want to give a couple of measurements beforehand that I feel like you might need to know. So the first will be the upright beam to the front of the bench, how much distance you have. For me, it is 11.25 inches. And that's the same on both sides. And that gives me a nice, comfortable space to rest my calf. I have fairly big calves, so I imagine for most people it would be a little bit less. From the front of the foot beam to the front of the bench, the gap is 4.5 inches. Let's see. Here we go. 4.5 inches, and it's the same on both sides. And that's pretty much, those are the only two measurements I think you really need to know that I haven't clarified yet. Like I said in the beginning, I'll just run through it one more time for you. I'm using these wood screws to put it together, a couple of these brackets. So essentially what it is you will have two 21-inch pieces, two 18-inch pieces, two 36-inch pieces, 6 of these L brackets, 4 of these one-way metal brackets, and a couple different size wood screws, a 2-inch wood screw and a 4-inch wood screw, preferably self-drilling screws. That way your wood won't crack, or if it does, it'll be very minimalistic. It won't crack all the way through. And that's pretty much all I think you need to know. As far as a stain, I'm a big fan. Here's some of my wooden blocks. I like this real dark stain on wood. So when and if I stain these, this is the stain I'll go with. It makes a real nice soft finish. Of course, these have not been sanded a whole lot, but when I finish a product, I make sure it's almost glossy. It's so smooth. And these are my two blocks, actually. This is my 4-inch block for doing calf raises and high elevated sissy squats. And of course, this is also for calf raises and elevated sissy squats, just it's a 2-inch block. Vince Gironda had both sizes in his gym. And this will be my other leg machine, essentially. Of course, I already have one, so this is a second one. But I'm actually going to demonstrate this all for you. I'm going to clean up my room first. It's a bit of a mess with all the construction today. But stay tuned and I'll show you a brief demonstration. Okay, this is my little demonstration where you can see me hitting up some of the squats. And I'll be the first to admit that my form here is pretty sloppy. Ideally, my body should be a lot more perpendicular with the ground. I'm leaning forward way too much, and as the reps go on, they get worse. But this is a hell of a lot better than it was a couple of days ago, and I'm very new to this movement. I realize the flaws in my execution here, but I'm working every day to get better. And the first thing I wanted to do was depth, and I have really perfected the depth I'm able to get on this. A couple days ago I wasn't even able to get perpendicular, but now I can get a lot lower, and it still feels really good. I can definitely feel it activating my quads a lot. I'm a heavier guy, so I'm sure that benefits me in this way because I can use my body weight more. But some people, when they do this, they can even lean back. You know, I'm leaning forward because I'm having trouble with it. But some people can actually lean on back and really get a fantastic stretch in the quads. But it's a wonderful exercise made on a very inexpensive machine. In my case, it was free. And as you can see, these wooden beams are having no trouble holding me up at all. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope it really helped you out. And if I didn't mention it already, all the measurements will be in the description here, minus the support beams, which I measured with little pieces of scrap that I set up there and drew the lines. And I made one and then I matched it to make a second one. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and until next time, this is Forgotten Fitness signing out. Bye bye.